It's 8 minutes to go before we wrap up the first hour of the morning show here on ETV. If you have just joined us, a warm welcome to you. It's a harsh reminder of how much plastic usage has affected our environment. And if we don't start changing our actions, it's not going to get any better. In fact, as part of Plastic Free July, we have Guy and Pindi from Green Home. A very good morning, guys.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
How dire is the situation here in South Africa in as far as, plastic usage goes?
It's a big crisis. It's a global crisis at the moment. South Africa, we actually have a fairly decent recycling rate in South Africa, but a major issue is our waste management infrastructure. We're not dealing with our waste correctly. All of our waste essentially gets sent to landfill, which is not the right environment for all of our organic waste and recyclables to be. And our landfills are at a crisis point at the moment. We need to be able to manage our waste correctly.
Pindi, does recycling help in South Africa?
Yeah, I mean, when you have a crisis, you have to put on everything that you have. So recycling does help. However, is it the ultimate? Not really. If you have other alternatives like composting, a biodegradable product, I would go for that rather than recycling.
Okay.
The problem with recycling is that there's a few issues. Firstly, not all plastic is recyclable, so not everything that you use can be recycled.
Right.
Plastics, once recycled, degrade, so eventually they're going to get to waste. We're just delaying the process, essentially. And thirdly, there's a psychological side to it as well. People tend to think if they recycle, they don't have to reduce their plastic usage because they feel like recycling will just take care of it. So it definitely should be part of all waste management systems, but it's not the final answer, and we have to look at a few different solutions.
Let's talk about those solutions, Guy. I mean, what's the difference between plastic packaging and biodegradable packaging?
Cool. Penny, do you want to take this one?
Yeah,
Your best?
yeah. So fundamentally, when you're looking at the components of plastic, you're looking at something oil-based. So for it to be oil-based, it's got petroleum. For it to have petroleum, you have to look at oil rigging, you have to look at fracking, all those issues. Okay. When you're looking at a biodegradable product, you're looking at a natural, renewable resource.
Okay.
Now I use the word resource because that's what it actually is. The reason why it's a resource is because at the end of plastic life, or should I say, no end of the plastic life, there's plastic. Whereas at the end of a natural renewable resource, there's a resource. And in this instance, the resource is compost.
Can be used again and again and again.
Exactly, exactly. Now you're looking at the circular economy type of thinking.
Is this what's given birth to the paper straws that we see at restaurants? And my daughter doesn't like them because in the milkshake, I don't know if it dissolves into it and becomes part of the milkshake.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, the paper straw kind of trend is part of the biodegradable food packaging movement. Single-use, or the takeaway industry, which we focus on predominantly, is a big contributor to the single-use plastic issue. You can think about it, you get a takeaway burger, you use it, you eat the burger, or you use the straw, and you then dispose of that product.
Right.
What we're producing and supplying is something that's made from plant-based materials, made from plants.
Okay.
So it's sustainable, it's renewable, you can get those raw materials pretty easily.
Right.
And then once you've used it, there's an opportunity for it to enter into Earth's natural cycles of biodegradation, where you can use those raw materials and compounds and elements to give life again to something else through compost.
That resource that you were touching on, Pindi, how do we then educate people on the ground? Because I don't think they get that message, or it's not clear enough.
Well, it's great that places like you guys are allowing us to come and chat about it. It's a major thing. And I think just having discussions around it and understanding, doing the research, there's so much information out there at the moment. It's a really trending topic at the moment.
Absolutely. And when you're talking about it, I think the thing is to not get too complicated. If you just talk to people about things that they naturally understand, it's a natural thing. It's easier to get it. I like to tell people that I love maize. I love maize.
Yes.
So I love to eat it. And when I finish eating it, I don't mind throwing it away. Because at the end of it, what you're going to get, we're going to get compost, the cob.
Of course.
Right? So when you start talking to people about that, even the people on the ground, lots of people love maize and eat maize.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I finally get it. But if you're going to go and get something that is plastic-based, or you're going to now at the end of the day throw it away, what you're going to get tomorrow, the same thing on the ground. The next day, the same thing. 100 years, the same thing on the ground. That's how it goes, really.
Let's talk cost, guys. Is biodegradable packaging affordable for South Africa? Is it even viable?
Yeah, so the products that which we have range. You've got paper products, you've got bamboo products, you've got bagasse-based product, bagasse being sugarcane components.
Yeah.
So the cost of it ranges really. I would really look at this question and say, can we afford not to go compostable, really? Because again, like when you look at it, you're saying if you have a paper-based product, how many products out there are paper-based and people are using? How many products do we have are bamboo-based and people are using? But if you want to then say versus a petroleum-based product, polystyrene, etc., then the two are not comparable. So you can't really talk about it in that way. However, again, my question would be, we really can't afford anything else at this stage.
And just to close off, Guy, is it not the responsibility of then the corporates to reduce their, plastic usage?
Well, definitely. I mean, corporates and businesses have a major role to play in this arena and can really be leaders in it. At the end of the day, though, the power lies with the individual.
Right.
We need to put pressure on the corporates, and it's happening a lot, especially in the retail space. There's a lot of major retailers moving away from single-use plastic. But also, if we're looking to be more environmentally friendly and sustainable, we spend 5 days a week, 8 hours a day at our jobs. We should be putting pressure as individuals, as employees, on our businesses to incorporate sustainability initiatives. A lot of the companies that we work with that use our product as a bigger sustainability initiative or drive have reported back brilliant results on how it's impacting morale, how employees feel like they're part of the solution and not part of a company that's part of the problem, essentially. So corporates and businesses definitely have a major role to play, but it's up to us to drive them and push them to do it.
Awesome stuff. So single-use plastic will be a thing of the past in a grocery store that you'll find yourself in. In fact, I walked into one of the grocery stores and they said, we're not using plastics today. I was like, okay, I've got this basket full of stuff. What do I need to do now? Even that is a conversation for another day. Guy and Pindi speak for Green Home. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We've got your news coming up at the top of the hour. Oliver Dixon standing by.